So there's nothing.
No, really nothing?
No, there's nothing. But, I just wanted to feel important, business. Numbers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is So I'm Watching This Show. On today's episode, we are going to dive into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Finally, I brought you to the Bravo side.
I'm just a straight Bravo gay now. I turned on Watch What Happens Live, unironically, the other day.
Oh my God, even though I'm not that bad.
No, actually, it was Scarlet Envy was the bartender.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So Rachel has been wanting me to watch The Housewives, to give it a shot for ages. And I finally did. And basically, I thought I was better than it.
Don't we all?
But the thing is that reality TV is designed and engineered to be fun and addictive.
Yes.
And so if anybody is even worth half their salt, it's the kind of thing like you just dive in. So I've seen a handful of episodes of season 5. I attempted this, I think, about a year ago. And to be honest, I was enjoying it, but I think there was just enough things going on that it fell off for me. So we started 2 weeks ago, I guess, and we started just with the season that's currently airing. And so, spoiler alert, I am in. I fucking love it so much. Yay. I've got my mom in. We tried with Kristen, but there's just too much going on right now.
She's almost there.
I know.
We don't have that much further to go. She's almost in. we were having to explain things because we had it on while she was sitting there. And so she was like, yeah, I don't know. And then we gave it a second. And then she was like, okay, I'm totally in. It's like, yes, because especially the drama this season is enough.
So apparently that is also, we're dealing with an exceptional season.
Yes.
But I was familiar with a lot of these women, not all of them. But I was most familiar with Lisa and Garcelle. And I knew Erica Jane from SNL skits and stuff.
And where did you two meet?
Mykonos.
Greece?
No, the other one. Yes, full Greece.
And then what really got me was Kathy. You told me that Kathy Hilton was doing a soft,
she is a chaos
audition.
Entity. Yes.
I think we're going to finish the rest of the season live. So this is sort of our season 11 catch up. So we can get to that point. But I'm trying to think. So basically, I've watched it all. I misunderstood. I thought the season was over and that there was just the reunion coming.
Oh, no.
I didn't know there was more episodes.
Yeah.
So I got to Dorit's wedding party.
Yes.
And clicked next, and there was no sex.
Oh my God. How broken was your heart?
Minutes. It took minutes for me.
Oh no.
I was I settled in and it was 11 o'clock, which for me is not that late. I was like, what am I going to do for the next 2 hours?
Oh no. Go back in time. So what did you do?
Well, I contemplated going back and watching season 10, and then I contemplated going back to 5, but I ended up falling down a connected but separate rabbit hole of watching videos on YouTube about the Halloween movie franchise.
Oh.
Because I'm
duh. Okay.
I'm excited to see Kyle Richards.
Yeah.
Which that's a good story. I reached a point last week where I was having stress dreams about Kyle Richards. She was in not about her, but she was in them, and I was like, okay, I have a problem. So
you know who's going to be so happy to hear this is Jack.
Jack
and Laura. Jack, I did it.
Well, so many people, it's this weird language, or a speakeasy, a code word or something, where you'll be like, do you are you and you drop the code word and oh my God, yes.
What's your favorite season? Are you Potomac?
But that's the other thing.
Hills?
It's apparently people apparently this is a gateway.
Oh yeah.
Season, because it's everybody watches all of them.
Oh yeah.
I'm not there.
Yeah.
So we kind of did this backwards. You should be asking me questions since you were the one who's watched it.
Okay. So you were now current.
Yes.
Okay. So how do we feel? Are we like, well, I don't, tell me everything. I don't even know where to start.
Well, I was gonna start with the girls. I almost said queens because we covered Drag Race.
No, yeah.
But well, let's start with the queens.
Yeah.
So from where I'm sitting, having only seen this season, I like Kyle a lot.
Mhm.
My impression is she's the closest we have to a reliable narrator.
Yes.
And I've said that to several people, and I get a general kind of from them. The thing you told me was that she has a tendency to try and have it both ways. Like she tries to play both sides of the fence.
Yes, she plays everything very diplomatically. I guess that's the word. But she doesn't ever have one foot completely in one camp a lot of the time.
Which I relate to. I'm a peacemaker, and it gets me into trouble sometimes.
Yes. But I think Kyle understands where she is, because I think she is like, she's been on this show the longest.
Since the beginning.
Yes. And I think like with the rest of the other housewife shows, I think she's one of the last ones standing.
Mm-hmm.
I think her and Ramona have been like consistent on all of the seasons. So I think that she takes that into account, and so she knows the role that she has to play. But when she gets, push comes to shove, if she has to defend the way she thinks, she does have a set thing that she likes to stand up for, but she does a little like a little of this and like a little of that just when she needs to.
Yeah. She also seems to have, I like Maurizio, I like her husband, the fucking episode with her and Maurizio and Dorit and PK.
Oh, yeah.
Where PK was like letting Erica Jane have it. It was hysterical.
But when, Mauricio's laughing, Dorit's laughing, but you see Kyle like wincing because she knows, because at that point they were still friendly. As it stands now, according to Instagram, that is no longer the case. And I think it's because Erica has seen the episodes now, so she has seen Kyle play both sides of the fence. But I would be the same way, where like if people around me are laughing about it, I don't know that I'd necessarily be like, you guys, we should stop. But I'd also be like, my face is melting, because in my mind, I'm like, if they see me being uncomfortable, maybe they'll stop.
So the thing is, the show gets a lot of crap for being like facilitated and for being drama for the sake of drama. And that's absolutely a factor. Mm-hmm. But also the people making those accusations and making those comments aren't having their lives and the lives of all of their intimate relationships filmed, spliced together to tell a story and played back for them.
Correct.
Because the thing is, it's just a reality that you're going to say things about people you love that you wouldn't say to them, or certainly not the same way.
Right.
And it's the same reason we mentioned this the other day, but it's the same reason why I would never want the superpower of being able to hear somebody's thoughts.
Oh, God, no.
Is because it's like, I think shit. Like, I think crazy shit that I don't ever mean because it's just in the moment.
Same. I am so censored. so censored.
And the thing is, it's like, on one hand, I am expecting for these women to be bigger people. And I'm like, well, you have to understand that's just going to happen. And then on the other hand, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what would happen if I got to watch footage of my friends talking every time I left a room.
Yeah.
So, because it's just going to happen. So, I don't know. I think that they're good sports, largely. We touched on Erica. Let's get right to it. You're a big Erica fan.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Okay.
I want to be her, basically. She is like, I mean, not
expensive.
Yes, that is on my that bitch all caps playlist on Spotify, because I'm manifesting that money, because it is expensive to Mimi. I just haven't come into my Erica Jane money yet. It's fine. It's gonna happen. We're speaking it here. I love her because she, like we were talking about the other day, she is coming to this life, this fame later in life, because, we always were told that, no, you have to be like this twinky little 20-year-old with like this hot bod or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you hit 35, which I am now, you're dead, especially for women.
Especially if you haven't already taken off.
Exactly. And she has only gotten better as she has aged. And I appreciate that. And then she just looks like Barbie.
Well, I was like, she's in a position where her career is taking off at the age of 50.
Absolutely.
And I was like, it's one thing to be a boundary pusher like a Jennifer Lopez or a Madonna or what have you, who was established at the shiny young age of 19. You know what I mean?
She became a Savage Fenty spokesperson 2 years ago.
And so she's in many ways a trailblazer. She's breaking
absolutely.
ground,
Mm-hmm.
but as such, there's not a map. There's not a navigation. There's nowhere. There's no instruction manual on how to do what she's doing, and you can just feel it's not the word desperation, because that's negative in a way I don't mean it, but you can just feel the anxiety that it's like she's just gotten to this place that she's always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing is being called into question and could potentially collapse
Absolutely.
like a souffle.
Well, and so up until this point, she's just been Tom Girardi's wife,
Mm-hmm.
a third wife at that.
Mm-hmm.
So she is stepping into a role that's a lot. She is in her husband's shadow, and she is not the type. I can't even imagine her like existing in someone else's shadow just because she is such a big personality. But you see her there because I feel like there's two different sides of it, because they've shown flashbacks this season, but if you've watched previous seasons, when the very few times that
he's been on the show.
Yes, and she has interacted with him publicly, she is a completely different type of person. And I think that
Well, it was her job.
yes, absolutely. And so now her job is to exist outside of that, is to have this outlet where she's larger than life. She is sexier than life, you know? And so it's like this emotional release that she's having. And, you know, I know many people can relate, you know, being told that this is the path that you have to take. This is the role that you have to play. And it's, you know, square peg, round hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't work. And so it's like, all of these women all of a sudden are having these later in life renaissances. And I think it's fascinating and exciting to watch, just because like personally, I feel like I'm having that.
Well, I was going to say, because I'm going through a similar thing where it's like you're 35, I'm 36, you know, I don't feel old.
No.
I'm aware that I'm older than I was,
Yes.
but it's like so much of our
Like sleeping hurts now in weird ways.
so much of our reality is youth centered,
Yes.
youth based, and especially entertainment stuff. It's youth oriented. And so there's been something so unbelievably cathartic about watching a single season of this show where I'm like, oh, my best years aren't behind me. I can still party. I can still do things. I can still be. And I mean, I'm not, you know, a 50-something-year-old wealthy white woman yet. But
Give us time and money, please.
but there's just something about it where it's just like, oh, I don't have to lay down and die. Like I can still have a life, and it gives me that excitement. The Erika Jayne thing, I'm really annoyed that especially, I'm so excited to be talking about this, but I also don't know where to go. I don't know how to keep it on the track because I don't want to open up the Sutton door yet.
Mm-hmm.
But particularly Sutton, spearheaded by her. She's very, she's operating, for some reason, she's operating like A, they have all the information,
Mm-hmm.
B, like they are entitled to all of the information on her timetable.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this narrative being spun that Erika's lying now. And the thing for me is I'm like, they're like, she used to be this way and now she's lying. And the way that I feel is that was the lie.
Correct. Yes.
I'm like, she's the gangster's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
My allegedly whatever stuff we're supposed to say, my personal opinions are that I think she's suspected
The things
that
were not on the up and
things
up.
were not
Oh yeah.
entirely kosher.
Oh yeah.
But no, I believe she was unaware. I believe like I don't think she knew numbers and
No, you
dates
think
and locations.
you think powerful lawyer Tom Girardi is going to sit down and explain to Erika what's going on with the business?
because he seemed to have
Absolutely not.
he seemed to have a decent amount of contempt for her by the end.
Oh yeah.
And so it just sort of, and that's where people like Lisa, who I like, and Kathy, who I love, have kind of come to her aid, where they both were like, my husband hands me things to sign all the time and I just do it.
Mhm.
Like Kathy, she was like 50 times a day sometimes. I'll have to sit there and sign papers and stuff. And so, again, I think she might have suspected that maybe there was some tomfoolery afoot,
Mhm.
but I do not think she's complicit in the way that a lot of people are accusing her. Also, there's another thing going on with this, because especially the egregiousness of the crimes and the alleged crimes and the victims and all that, because that's someplace that Garcelle is focused on the fact that there are proper victims in this scenario, which is true. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, the widows and children who were not given the justice that they deserve are the real victims.
Absolutely.
Yes. However, let's go, not big picture. Let's go, intimate. This is a woman at a Christmas party with 7 girlfriends. If ever there's a time you're allowed to be like, but what about me? You know what I mean? And so it's like the fact that they're wanting her to perform this just because they're on TV is a little bit frustrating.
And it's not like Erica is saying, well, but look at me. Look at what I'm going through. All she has said, and when things have escalated to a certain level, she has said, look at me. Look at my life. Do you think I'm having fun? And she looks broken. At no point has she said, no, I'm the one that hurts the most. Her brain is broken. She is broken emotionally. She's just trying to get through it all. And so,
which frankly, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that is a layer, because the implication for me, at least, is that Bravo, so we now have a like corporate entity, is pushing a narrative of her innocence, which I don't know what to make of that. At a certain point, it is just a reality TV show that I'm watching. But this does feel like very I think that's part of what's making it so fun to watch and so thrilling. Because again, back to Sutton, sort of like, well, am I risking anything by being involved with you? And I'm like,
this fucking bitch.
And I'm like, if only your interactions were being like chronicled and recorded and documented. And like,
yeah. I just...
And to be perfectly honest, I think the question, because it comes out in that Christmas dinner that she was like, did any of you talk to a lawyer? It's like, I think that that's fair to wonder, to seeking legal counsel feels differently. It was much easier when Dorit was like, well, I asked, a friend's husband.
Yeah. And when Kyle said that she talked to Faye Resnick's husband, because he's a lawyer as well, if it were me, I probably would be a little hurt, but I just because of the breadth and the scale of this lawsuit and how much money is being talked about, I could understand if someone felt like they needed to, but... Or
even you do have to ask the question sometimes. Yeah. There's a scene in every movie where the person says, I have to ask, did you do this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's going to suck, and it's going to hurt, but... You have to expect it, which she does, because she even says, she goes, go ahead and ask this question. Let's do this.
Yeah. But Sutton then can't get mad that Erica's mad, because it would hurt me, because she is sitting in front of a tribunal every single party. And it's like, when can I get off the ride? We've done this. Why are you continuing to drag me through the fucking mud? I've said what I needed to say. And at this point, I would hope that I've answered your questions to your liking. And now we're at the next step where as my friends, you should have the love and respect for me that you would know that I would not be in cahoots with a man to take money from burn victims and
plane crash.
Yes.
Well, because there's also, because this is where Kyle's at, from my opinion. There's a benefit of the doubt where it's like, it's not so much that let's just say that she is deceiving them. I wouldn't judge them for giving their friend the benefit of the doubt.
No, not at all.
And that's where they seem to be like...
That's where Teddy Mellencamp comes into it. And she's like, listen, if my friend tells me that she didn't do this, and I have to respect my friend and believe my friend until I learn otherwise. Thank you, Teddy Mellencamp.
No, and so that's the thing, is they're going too many steps forward, especially Sutton, where she's like, this could ruin my reputation. And I'm like, any more so than being on this show in the first place?
Fucking Sutton. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Well,
she's rich, honey. She's rich. That attitude is fucking rich is what that is.
She got mad at Dorit for not having a strong enough conviction in challenging Erica. And I'm like, okay, I've seen 17 episodes. I'm like, Dorit's the pretty one. She shows up.
She's the child of the world.
Yeah, I was like, she's not who you have in your back pocket if you've got like a fight. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I am down to fisticuffs with someone,
I was like,
and I look behind me and I'm like, who's my backup? And if it's Dorit, I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to moonwalk right out of this situation.
If you ask me, she did. Because she did sort of, and certainly not accuse, but she was one of the first ones talking to Erica about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she had a little bit more oomph when they were talking about it when Erica wasn't there. But also, I don't see, to me, that's not weakness or cowardice. It's when the person is in front of you crying, you change your tactics sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I like Dorit, but I said what I said. She's the pretty one.
And you all tell me if this strikes a chord with you as well, because this is how I've explained her to everybody. But do you guys, especially millennials, remember the Barbie that like you could cut her hair, you could like wind her arm and the hair would be different lengths? That is literally Dorit. Also, I think her, Justine Marjan, she is her hairstylist. I follow her on Instagram. She's doing God's work. She is incredible.
So yeah, I do like Erica. I found that conversation interesting. PK is interesting.
You like him, or have you since kind of?
Well,
peppered?
he seems like a piece of work.
Yes.
I thought he was funny in that one scene, and I was like, oh, I kind of like him. And then I was like, okay, but is he ever not wearing a sweatshirt?
No.
And he brought up good points about like Erica not doing herself any favors with like the agent provocateur stuff. And again, it's like you could go.
She has bills to pay now.
No, I understand. No,
You know
I
what mean?
absolutely.
Have your ass out. If you need to make money that way, go for it.
I absolutely understand it. And you could accuse his assessment as being sexist. I don't think it was, because he was like, plenty of people have image makeovers when they're going through. I mean,
that pinged a memory of a previous season that you've not watched yet.
Okay.
So there was something called Pantygate a few seasons ago, where the four of them, and I think Lisa Vanderpump and Ken, were out to dinner. And I think Lisa said something about like somebody needed a pair of panties, and Erica was like, well, I'm not wearing any, honey, blah, 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 whatever. And then she like crossed her legs or whatever. And then later when they were away, PK mentioned something about like he could see right up her dress. And so then Dorit, next time they got together, Dorit brought her panties. Brought her panties to be like, next time, do us all a favor. Oh, this went on forever. And Dorit would not let it go. And Erica, she took it in stride at first, but then it got really fucking gross. They were still talking about it at the reunion and brought out PK because everyone was like, why is your husband talking about her fucking underwear? Why is your husband looking up her skirt to look at her fucking vagina?
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. So that's really interesting that you brought up the sexist point and that he's complaining that she's not being right by having her ass out. Ooh, I'm going to stew about that for a little while after we record. I'm like,
well, my point was, yes, she should have every right to do these things, especially because Dorit defends her as like she's a brand ambassador. I mean, and she's got no money, so now she needs these jobs.
Yeah.
However, I mean, that is a take that it's like, if you're being accused of a certain type of behavior or do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like,
if it were all of a sudden out of left field, I would say like, maybe like take a step back. But
this is very in character for her.
She's in the expensive TV, or there's a song called like, I Don't Give a Fuck or something like that. And she's like, she's pretty much simulated nude the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So she is a like a dance music artist or whatever. So
she's
outfits,
a showgirl, yeah.
Exactly. So her outfits leave very little to the imagination. So this is normal for me. I think more than anything, the comments, because they're all very like aggressive, especially to like the haters, which I don't fault her for it. Like, you can say at this point, say whatever the fuck you want. After that type of...
So what I'm trying to say is I think there's a vinegar to honey argument that could be made. That she could, and maybe it would be wiser to go a certain direction. I don't think that she should have to do that. I think that there's nothing wrong with being...
Listen, when you have the rug pulled out from under you, you have no control over anything except this and what you can put out. I mean... Who among us?
No, absolutely.
You know, I've been there after the plethora of ridiculousness that I have gone through. I mean, I've gone off the rails a little bit with stuff because it's like I'm trying to grab some semblance of control. So I'm not faulting her for it at all.
So to break neck completely in a different direction, I kind of live for Crystal. She feels like a very necessary voice of reason.
Yeah, she's very calm.
Very
cool,
calm and grounded.
collected.
She seems to understand exactly what show she's on. In a way that if this were populated with nothing but up here people, it would be unwatchable.
It would be a farce.
Yeah. So I think we need these varying degrees, because that's another thing that I find interesting is these are all rich women. These are all rich people, but there is differences in amounts of wealth, you know, because you get like a Kathy Hilton who's like properly wealthy. And I guess I fit in the sentence there. I just find it interesting.
Well, and there's the scene where Kyle walks into Crystal's house and there is a $95,000 Birkin bag just sitting on the table. And it's just like, yeah, it's just a bag. I set it out for you to look at. Like, oh my gosh.
I don't know. I think she's very smart. I like that she's younger. She's on the younger side.
She's our age, right?
I think she's 38, so yeah.
Okay.
But on top of smart, she seems savvy.
Yes.
Like, she seems clever. I like that she can play into it. The party that Lisa threw for Garcelle's birthday when Sutton, so the fourth time they had that conversation, when Sutton hit the wall. And she just had that, like, shit-eating grin. And, like, it was so funny because...
Jealous about what? Your ugly leather pants? It's so good.
She just had this, like, cat who ate the canary look. And it, like, because you can tell she was tired of it.
Yeah.
Like, and she's just sitting down with, like, Kathy or Erica. And she was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, and... It was so stupid, and I still maintain the issue there was it was the conversation that started the night before about race, because Sutton pulled the I don't see color card.
Yes.
And Crystal made the mistake of thinking that Sutton was further along in her life journey than she was. Which,
I mean, you would hope, but I mean...
But these are silly women.
Exactly. So that's why part of me is just kind of like, I'm of two minds about it, because one would hope that Sutton would be well beyond, because...
And mind you, this is, I even, in spite of the language I use, Crystal made the mistake. I am so completely on Crystal's side.
Oh, 100%.
Crystal said that you're not one of those, are you? And as one of those as one of those, Sutton was very offended.
Yes.
And could not wrap her mind around what they were actually talking about.
No, not at
so
all.
much so that the conversation came up 2 or 3 more times, but it came up again in La Quinta. With Kathy, where Kathy got to name drop Michael Jackson and how, you know, she was like, Michael said to me that, you know, I don't see color and that's the way the world should be and yada, yada, yada. I understand what people, especially old white women, think they're saying when they say that. But again, it was then they basically were trying to congratulate themselves for being done with the test.
Yeah.
And Garcelle and Crystal kind of have to remind them that they were not.
The work's not done.
And that's where I find... That's one of many places where I find Crystal and Garcelle's role on this show very interesting.
Because I feel sad that they are put in this position because both of women of color, like the fact that the people of color are forever having to be the ones to educate. My heart breaks. And I mean, again, I say that as a white person, especially like a white woman. I know that sounds trite, but like I'm sad that they are having to do that. This has been a long time coming because that's been a point of conversation about like that these casts are not diverse enough. But I'm glad that these conversations are happening.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I was like, but ultimately it's working though.
Yes.
Because they did listen. Kathy shut up.
Yeah, she did.
Well, frankly, because she's not mouthy, but it's like there was a point where she was like, she had a look on her face where I was like, she's genuinely never pushed the topic of conversation that far through.
Mm-hmm.
Where Garcelle had to be like, you can't deny. Garcelle was like, you can't say you don't see color. She was like, because I am black. She's like, when I show up, I'm a black woman.
Right.
Before I'm an actress, before I'm a mother, before I'm all of these things. And you literally could see Kathy sitting there being like, huh.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that regard, it's like they shouldn't have to, but they are, and they're doing a good job of it. And they're doing it well, sort of interspersing it throughout this. But basically, I think that was the root of Sutton and Crystal's issues.
Still?
I think that was the root of, I think it started because they were chummy before that.
Oh, well, yeah.
And so then they had that conversation the next morning where Crystal kind of had to, because it's so annoying, it happens so often, but it's like some well-meaning, but ultimately ignorant white person says something well-meaning, but ultimately ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
The non-white person has to point it out to them and then end up apologizing to them
Mm-hmm.
for pointing it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that sort of interaction Sutton and Crystal had where Crystal was kind of having to apologize to Sutton for calling her out because it made her feel bad. And so I think that was the root of their issues.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, because actually I understood why Sutton had such a chip on her shoulder when they got back from the restaurant, because she was the odd man out. It was not intentional.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like, let's play telephone and leave Sutton out of it, but it happened organically that way.
Yeah.
So I understood why she was butthurt, but then...
Well, Crystal didn't know. Crystal just figured it out.
I'll leave that there. But it was like why Sutton would ever think to bring Crystal her jacket in the middle of the night where there's an expectation of privacy. I mean, it's not like they were leaving. It's not like she was going to lose the jacket.
But maybe she was trying to extend it. Okay, this is well into the evening. There's been plenty of cocktails because that they came home and they had vodka sodas.
Oh my God, there's...
So...
we skip that part. We go from tipsy to drunk in a commercial break.
Yeah. So she probably thought, this is an olive branch. Let me go take her jacket, and maybe there'll be a nice moment where she'll be like, oh, well, that was really nice of you. And then it would be fine. But of course, it was the complete, to quote Dorit, diametrical opposite.
She likes to throw that around. I'm like, yeah, that works.
Yeah. So, and then it's just like, it just.
And Crystal did snap a little bit with that. She went real hard.
That whole thing, I think that what we're dealing with Crystal's reaction with that, I think we're dealing with the body issues, since she does come out and talk later that she is a recovering bulimic. So I think we are pinging the body issues more than anything, because she told Sutton, I'm not going to tell any of the other girls, like, it's fine, whatever. But then immediately cut to the van and they're like, so what happened? And so she was like, oh, it was so fucking weird. Like, she came in there.
Well, at that point, I think she wanted to vent. And that's where you're like, oh shit, I'm being recorded at every.
Right. And then she just kept talking about it, because at what point, which I mean, this is where the manufacturing comes in and the producers, but if she really did want to squash it, I think she could have been like, I don't want to fucking talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, which I think the body issues, and also you have to consider that she is new to this group. This was her first, to my understanding, I'm not privy to filming schedules, but this was her first overnight trip with this group of women that she was marginally familiar with. And also, I mean, it's a job.
Yeah.
Like, this is a job for these people.
Mhm.
Like, yes, they are friends, and we want to buy that and believe that, buy into
Mhm.
that. But it is a reality. And I think she hit a little bit of a wall. I think she was like, okay, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah. I would agree.
And
with
I think she got it. She recovered.
Mhm.
But the 2 or 3 times, because fucking. I also love that, like, because Kathy doesn't need this show, but I love that Kathy Hilton's just bored. And so she's like, I think I'm going to take up reality television.
Well, so going to Kathy, because Kathy did stoke the fire so many times, but I think in Kathy's mind, she's like, oh, well, they've done the work, so now we can joke about it and be fine with it. So then we can, call her Thomasina.
Oh, I was going to say, I agree in every respect except for the party at Lisa Rinna's house.
Oh, yeah.
Because when Sutton sat down, she goes, very quietly too, hi, Thomasina.
Mm-hmm. Chaos entity. Who travels with a box fan and stays up until 3 a.m. drinking Red Bulls. Y'all, I am not joking. When I first started watching this season and they got to Big Bear.
My fan's right there.
Yeah. When they got to Big Bear, I texted Will and I was like, you need to fucking watch this, because when she was carrying that fucking box fan around and she went and bothered Kyle at like 3 a.m. and opened her Red Bull, and Kyle was like, Kathy, what are you doing? It's a Red Bull. She was like, oh, is it? I thought it was something else. I don't know. And then she put fucking eyelash glue in her eye the next day because she thought it was fucking, what is it? What's it called? Eye drops. Sorry. It's just chaos entity. And I just knew. And every single time that she would do something, especially when she was like, who's Hunky Dory? I was like, why are you not watching this with me?
So as a student, I came of age. I graduated high school in 2003. So I am, Paris Hilton is near and dear to me in many ways. It is so funny how alike they are.
Mm-hmm.
Paris's sense of humor, her comedic timing, like, they are identical.
Yes.
It is hysterical to me because I love how much Kathy does it. She does this thing because they actually even talked about it a little bit on the show where she just won't finish sentences.
Yeah, she talks in shorthand.
But it's smart because also it's a good way to get information out of people if people think they know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, say less. Say less.
I don't know. It's very interesting. And I think it's also such an interesting bit of street cred for Crystal that Kathy and Crystal were friends.
Oh, besties.
Yeah, that she's the entry point. I don't know. I love it so much.
Well, and then did you see a picture from the Met Gala where Kathy Hilton and Rihanna are like sitting there and she has her whole ass hand on Rihanna's kneecap? What universe? What world? Oh my God.
I also love Lisa Rinna.
Yes. Oh my God.
I think that at this point, I think she is a cartoon of herself in the best way.
She understands the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up. She knows what she's doing. And that's why I love her.
Because the few episodes of season 5 that I watched were her introduction, and the first words out of her mouth were the Depend commercial, where she was like, best job I've ever had. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is a woman who knows who she is.
Yes. And confident in who she is.
I adore her relationship with Harry Hamlin.
She is obsessed with him.
But we think about it though. How often do we get to see like married couples who are genuinely in love with each other still?
And especially in Beverly Hills. And
she is just continuously, day after day, smitten with him. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because he's like 72% old man at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's still handsome and he still has his full head of hair, but he's like 72% grandpa. Just like him trying to teach her anything, him trying to teach her how to garden, him trying to teach her how to cook. Like, I don't know. It's, I love her. Like I said, she's one of the ones that I think it's all on her sleeve. Like, I don't think she's really capable of, and again, like you said, it's like she's a silly woman, but she knows it and she works it. Mm-hmm. And
well, they're just to piggyback on what you were gonna say. I mean, there's just no artifice at all. It's just you get what you get and you're gonna complain, but I don't fucking care.
The dresses she's pulling out and giving to her dog. Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
I would be weeping.
90s Hervé Leger, 90s Versace, just actual couture.
It hurts my feelings.
That's just sitting in the garage.
It hurts my feelings.
I was like, they better have gotten that shit out of there because their ass is going to get robbed.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they have a gate and like all the security, you know, it's just ridiculous. But the girls, I'm sure, grab that like in a heartbeat.
I was trying to think if I finished what I said about Garcelle. I am familiar with Garcelle as an actress. She is Our Lady Underground.
Mm-hmm. Have a seat, Julia. It's time for us to talk.
Don't you forget it. I like Garcelle. I see what you mean. You like her too, but you were like, she has a tendency. You were like, she picks weird times to chime in.
Yes. And
weird times to stay quiet.
Yes. And it's the times that she chimes in, she says the quiet part out loud. And there are times when that's needed, but it's still just like, I just feel like it'll get to the point where we're winding down, where there is like a natural end to the issue, but she just has to poke one more time. And it's just kind of like, God, we were fucking done. We were done. Why would you do that? But like, I love her relationship with her children. I mean, she is stunning. Mm-hmm. Absolutely fucking stunning.
Her Haitian party was so beautiful.
So good.
And these fucking bitches. She brought out just this wonderful, thoughtful, beautiful, tiny little plates of food. And half of them had to make such a fat fucking deal because they were eating fish or something. And I was like, oh my God, put it in your mouth.
Listen.
Like, just eat it. Like,
I am a very particular eater. Like, he showed me a picture of this beautiful cucumber sandwich he made. I don't care for cucumbers. I don't get it. I can appreciate the fact that they are cool in flavor, but they just don't do it for me. Mm-hmm. So, but in that moment, you best fucking believe I would try.
You just eat it.
You just try it. You just try it. And, you know, if you don't like it, you go, you swallow it, and then you just take a big old chug.
Yeah.
And you don't go back for seconds.
Or you just don't make a scene.
Yes.
You just let it pass. But because it was like the conch where it felt weirdly out of character for Kyle, because aren't they constantly just like eating caviar? But
yeah.
That she like, well, also
the fucking deviled eggs with the fucking caviar on top of Dorit and PK's house for date night. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
How Dorit and PK are together, I'll never understand, because she is so uptight and so particular, and he's like a sloth.
I think it's
like, my mom was like, Jesus Christ, woman, because she just kept, baby, you're doing it wrong. She kept controlling.
Baby, PK, baby. My love.
My mom was like, also, those dresses are hideous. Some of them are okay.
They're fine. They're fine. The pearl one was nice. Was it the pearl one, the high neck one? I can't remember. I have a theory as to why they work, but I've caught enough shit on this channel that I think I might keep it to myself. So we'll talk about that.
We'll get to that. Watch this space. But no, Kyle acting a fool over the conch, which again, Garcelle did her no favors by being like, it's a sea snail. I was like, because I'm like, have you not had calamari? It's a fritter. You just eat it.
What?
Like,
okay, perfect thing. Because I'm a particular eater. If someone was like, would you like to try this conch? I would not want to. I would not want to.
Have you not had conch?
No.
Oh, it's good.
I would try it. If they brought it to me.
It's like a hush puppy with like.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't like oysters. Now, fried oysters, that's probably a different story, but just shooting it, I don't need to see loogie. I'm good. So that's just me. I understand.
I like oysters.
Good.
You're so happy for me.
I'm so glad for you.
Well, again, the thing with oysters, because we make fried oysters for the holidays. Mm-hmm. And for people who are on the fence, you just need a little bit, a small one. And again, these were such manageable. I don't know. Eat the Confritter, Kyle.
Yeah,
Eat the Confritter.
I would have eaten it. I would have eaten it. It just, and I would not have complained, and I probably would have liked it, and then that would have been the end of it. But it's just, especially when someone is sharing their culture like that with you, you as a white bitch cannot say shit, cannot say anything because we have no culture. So I don't know. Like,
that was also one of the places actually where I could see Kyle with the being annoying or playing both sides of the fence, because she was sort of beside herself that like Erica and Sutton just didn't really talk to each other. They were at the same party and she was like, well, I can't live that way. And it was so uncomfortable and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, they literally, both of them said hi to each other. They smiled and then Erica got the hell out of there. Like, and it just, because even at Dorit's like wedding thing, they both were like, oh, you look beautiful. And then just like walked to opposite sides.
Yeah,
like,
that's like,
so easy.
That's just what you do. But then that's where the manufacturing comes in, because production was just like, oh, you should make it better.
Is that because they never let him leave? And I'm like,
no.
Yeah, is that do you think okay. I'm like, God, just let them go.
Unless well, and that's where Denise got in trouble, where when they would start talking about something she didn't want to talk about, she would just go bravo, 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 bravo. And then so they would like cut it. But then everyone's like, so they just started leaving it in. And then production have to be like, come out and be like, no, you have to finish. And she's like, no, fuck this, whatever. But like, unless it's something really, really bad that they don't want to talk about, they have to like rip it off or like freak the fuck out. Because Ramona will do that. She'll be like, I will leave right now. But then usually they will like leave that footage in, and it's so delicious. I love it. These bitches be messy and I love it.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else really. I mean, there's plenty.
We have not even scratched the surface with Sutton. Like we've talked around Sutton, but we've not talked about Sutton.
Okay.
I don't like her. And I'm sad because she's a Virgo. She's a fellow Virgo. But I think she has a different moon and a different rising. So I think we're fine. But I don't understand, because her first season, she was like oil and fucking water.
How long has she been on here?
I think this is her third season. Maybe second. When they were doing her soft introduction, I thought she was a very weird decision. But she's rich as fuck and besties with Dolce & Gabbana, so that's probably why. Because then like she gets to parade around and like couture, and so like Lisa Rinna is always
was her husband, because I don't think she's that rich.
So it was her husband, and I finally broke down and like Googled them, because I didn't understand because like if Lisa Rinna is like gushing about how rich you are, you must be really fucking rich, because I feel like Lisa Rinna is sitting on mounds of money.
No, well, they're working actors.
Yeah. But the fact that Sutton can afford to buy herself a divorce present in the form of a Bentley, a Bentley convertible, like what kind of money are we looking at here? I don't know. And she's, I'm fairly certain like she is a practicing Catholic, which I mean, peace be with you, also with you. But
with
it
your
just
spirit or whatever bullshit.
Don't even get me fucking started. Don't even get me fucking started. That's why I'm a witch now. So she was just really odd. She was reserved, which I mean, you could see her thinking. That's the problem. You can see the seams. Like she was trying to be on the show. So I was really excited to see her evolution, because she really seemed to relax in the beginning of the season, especially because her and Garcelle got close, and then her and Erica bonded over the fact that they're both Georgia girls. And
this season or last season? This
season, in the beginning. Remember? Okay. Because when Sutton rented out that spa for Erica for her like divorce present or whatever. Remember? She like made her. Yeah.
That was when I was still getting familiar with everyone.
But so like she like gave her like a divorce survival kit and rented out a spa for them.
So what's her damage? What's her deal with Erica?
Now?
Yeah.
Because she's a liar or whatever.
No.
Well, then she's falling into her southern sensibilities. Ugh. And now like her reputation is tarnished because her friend is a harlot and a damaged woman because she is a divorcee.
I guffawed. I laughed out loud at Lisa Rinna's lip party when Garcelle and Dorit were going back and forth, and Sutton said something, and Erica was like,
So you be quiet, all right, Miss Small Town? I'm so worried about my motherfucking reputation. You shut up.
And I forget what she said, but it was...
Small town. She called her small town.
She was like, continue, Garcelle. And I was like, oh! Because apparently I've done a little bit of like Googling, but apparently Erica has a 0 to 100 that kicks in.
Hey, man, you know, there are some people that it takes a lot for them to get there, but when they get there, it's very scary.
And that's the thing, is I think Erica weathers, and then she hits a breaking point. And then it's like at a certain point, she's just like not acting out, because I don't think they're empty threats, but it's...
Or what? Or what?
You should do a one-woman show where you just reenact. We'll get a bunch of wigs.
Don't threaten me with a good fucking time, sir. Don't do it to me. Ugh. It's so good. It's good. But yeah, Sutton, she just,
she's just so dramatic. And
but you know what though? Calling her small town, I think is extremely appropriate. Because
she didn't like it.
No, because she knows. Because she's falling into those small town sensibilities. And it's like, bitch, you live in fucking Los Angeles.
She's like, I have a reputation to uphold. I'm on the board of the ballet.
You were on a reality television show. Okay? So so unlike Lisa Rinna, she does not understand the assignment.
No.
She doesn't understand what she is signed up for. So I don't get it. And the fact that she's going... No, that's a lie. I do get it because we know so many people like that like if there is someone with just a hint of a scarlet letter, no thank you. Nowhere do we see dust. They would run so fast. But it's just like you don't get to do that though. So just chill the fuck out. And you're also divorced yourself. And I'm sure that like your husband wasn't all on the up and up. I'm sure there was some shady shit because these big
because that was Teddy, I think, where when they were the Christmas dinner, where Teddy was like, everyone at this table has been involved in a lawsuit or like.
When she was like, if your name is on an LLC, you should know where that money's coming from. Listen, my initials are on an LLC. I didn't fucking sign anything, but my initials are part of it. I don't fucking know what's going in and out of it.
Chris and I have an LLC. I don't even know where it's located. I don't know shit about it.
Yeah, so that argument didn't even come close to holding water because
I have no idea how much money we have. I have no clue.
Yeah, so I mean,
because if I did, it would just be nothing but more dolls.
Yeah, Jesus, this entire space. We'll get there one day, but I just she can't have it both ways in the way that she wants it. So oh God.
Also, so the famous we're winding down, but with this episode, but the famous housewife taglines, I actually find them to be lacking. I wanted more from them. In particular, I take issue with Sutton's
exquisite derriere wear, ma'am. Where?
She said ugly leather pants.
Let's not.
Sorry, I know. Let me not get ugly.
Let's
I'm
not
very sorry.
pick on women's bodies. But,
no, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful person.
But when she showed up for Lisa Rinna's lip party with that like Veronica Lake and the red.
Oh yeah, no, she looks phenomenal.
She also dresses really well for her.
Yeah, she does.
But Crystal's line is, Hollywood is full of phonies, but I slay them all. Makes no sense. No. That makes no sense. How every time she says it, I'm like, but I'm the real deal. Hollywood is full of phonies, but I'm the real deal. I just don't know how how that didn't I don't know. Just me?
No, I get it. If anything, I would want to rope in the fact that my husband directed The Lion King. Everywhere that the light touches is mine.
Turns to mine.
Yeah. Where is that? Y'all bitches are cartoon characters.
You would never hear the end of it. You would never hear the end of it, I tell you.
And I would just rack up my dollars. It's fine. I'm never going to be back on this fucking channel ever again. Jesus Christ.
Okay,
just stop me.
We are going to attempt to cover the rest of season 11 live-ish. Probably, it's going to depend. We also do American Crime Story impeachment, and we were doing Drag Race, but it ended. We do Riverdale.
God, that's tonight, isn't it?
American Horror Story. We cover lots of shows. So if you're new, like and subscribe.
Also, welcome. We're so happy you're here.
And depending on what we're covering, we will get you the episodes either the night, Wednesday, or most likely Thursday, most likely the next day. So yeah, so let us know. Like and subscribe. We have a website, soimwatching.com. Everything links out from there. We also have a Patreon and a Cashapp. So I'm watching, or Patreon / So I'm watching this show, and Venmo, Cashapp. So I'm watching. That should be down there. So hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully you come back. And yeah, we will see you soon. Later. Bye.
Bye.
It was abrupt.
The whole time I was like, this has been so long.
It's like an hour.
Jesus.
It's going to take me a minute.